Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today's going to be a little bit of a different type of video that I haven't done before. We're actually going to be comparing the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, because in the latest Hunt Showdown update, they actually had a PS5 Pro support update that specifically said they added PSSR support, and the PS5 Pro also has increased graphic quality settings. That was in the actual patch notes. And what does PSSR mean, you might ask? PSSR, which stands for PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, is an AI-powered upscaling technology exclusive to the PS5 Pro, allowing it to render images at a higher resolution than the native resolution of a game, essentially creating sharper visuals with minimal performance impact by using machine learning algorithms to enhance image details. Essentially, it's Sony's answer to Nvidia's DLSS on PC gaming. I did not read that on my other monitor. But yeah, so basically, it's just an upscaling technology so that you can have better quality graphics without sacrificing performance. It's quite literally it. I'm not a super big tech fancy guy, so when it comes to terminology of stuff like this, sometimes DLSS stuff on my PC, I am very naive when it comes to any of that. So as long as the only thing that makes sense to me is okay, increase better graphics. So this is going to be a very maybe not super in depth of insane oh, this is why this is better because of this technology does this and that. Yeah, I'm not explaining any of that. I'm just gonna tell you, does it look better? Is it noticeable? That's all I am trying to answer. And I did actually ask somebody in the Discord for the Hunt Showdown official Discord. I asked them what specifically was changed, because just saying increased graphic quality settings is kind of vague, and they actually gave me the answer to that. So the higher quality SSAO, which I don't know what that means either. So SSAO is screen space ambient occlusion, is a computer graphics technique that darkens areas in a scene that block out ambient light. It is used to create more realistic lighting in games by approximating how much light should be blocked by different parts of the environment. I didn't read that either off of my monitor. But yeah, higher shadow resolutions, higher texture resolutions, and higher quality water shading. So to put it blunt, I do think I notice a difference, and I'm going to point that out as we do this in side-by-side walkthrough. And ultimately, though, I want you to also give your opinion. If you're just playing Hunt and you only have a PS5, is buying a PS5 Pro really worth it if you only play Hunt Showdown? Well, I already said I noticed a difference, but I'm going to leave my opinion whether it's worth it or not at the end of the video. And while you're watching this or at the end of the video, also let me know if you think it's worth it and if you would upgrade and if you think the differences are that substantial. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So we're going to go ahead and take a tour through Fort Carmick here, and I want you guys to really pay attention to the lighting inside, but also the gun, because with all these different shadows and lighting in this darker area in Fort Carmick, especially right here, you can really see the detail of the engraving on the weapon pop out more, and it feels like the engraving's a bit deeper into the gun, actually making it seem like it's engraved. And especially right here, you can see that there's particles that kind of float into the lighting on the PS5 Pro compared to the just normal PS5. Especially through this next part too, with all these sun rays coming in through the roof, you can actually see the movement of what's dust, and you don't really see that on the normal PS5, which is a very small detail, but it really kind of makes the environment come to life a little bit more when you're really sitting around paying attention to it. So coming up here, I want you to really pay attention to the texture quality of the brick on the wall and inside the little tunnel, and we're going to do some weapon animations and stuff as well, but the texture quality upgrade really shows on the brick wall. And if you look inside the tunnel on the PS5, it's kind of just one flat sheet of brick. There's not really a whole lot of depth to the bricks in the tunnel, but if you look at the PS5 Pro, the edges of the brick are a lot deeper and darker in color and really kind of make them pop out more, which makes it feel like they're actually uneven and again, just gives it a bit more depth, which makes it more realistic instead of being like a flat wall. You can kind of see that as well on the inside of the roof here with the bricks up top. And we're going to look at the glass here as well. Now, I don't think there's too much of a difference, but this specific piece of glass that has some like text on it and a little bit of a design to it, I feel like it's a lot easier to read and it's a bit more clear and like crisp than the PS5. Like it's a little bit easier to read it on the PS5 Pro. And again, paying attention to the lighting, especially when you look at the whole faces of the walls, it's a lot brighter on the PS5. Like the entire wall is just kind of one brightness, whereas the walls are a bit darker and brighter in certain spots on the PS5 Pro, which kind of makes the lighting feel a bit more dynamic. So coming up here, we're going to look at the lamp that's all the way up on the ceiling, and you can really see that the lighting from like the flame of the lamp is really bouncing and kind of flashing and flickering off of the ceiling, which kind of, again, just, it's a very subtle thing, but it kind of brings it a little bit more to life, especially with the fire up here. You're going to notice the same thing. The lighting kind of bounces and flickers off of the walls, the floor, and it is a really small detail, but it really does make the game just feel and look that much nicer and kind of make the environment feel a bit more alive. So we'll look at this a few times throughout this video, but the water on the PS5 Pro is also something that had like a quality upgrade to it, and there's a lot more ripples in the water when it's just kind of steady and sitting still, and it just gives it like more of a flow to the surface of the water, which there is that a little bit on the PS5, but it's very subtle and sometimes just kind of makes it seem blurry more than making it seem like it's actually like moving, if that makes sense, or at least to me, that's the best way I could describe it. Now we're going to play around and just splash around in the water a little bit, but these splashes from your feet when you're walking through the water just seem to have a little bit brighter of highlights when you're walking through them, which I think do just make them pop out a little bit more, but other than that I think it's pretty similar. Now we're going to look at the shadow on the wall here from my hunter, and it's a lot darker and crisper on the PS5 Pro compared to the PS5, where it's a bit lighter of a darker color, gray or black, whatever you want to call it, and it's a bit more blurry as well. I prefer it actually being a lot darker and more crisp and clear on the PS5 Pro. This is actually something on PC you can change your shadow effect settings to make it crisper and not as crisp and make it more blurry, which is kind of more natural, but I think it looks better when it's a bit more crisp. Moving forward to this next part, I'm going to slow it down and repeat it a couple times, but this burning piece of wood that has all this ashed, like burned texture to it that's on fire, it loads in a lot quicker on the PS5 Pro compared to the PS5. And it does look better up close, but again, the key thing here is it really shows that the PS5 Pro is loading textures significantly faster. And we also show that the fire is still in the daytime even, really flickering off of wood and closed surfaces. So we're going to go play in the water a little bit again, but especially out here in the sun, you can really see what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot more ripples on the surface of the water on the PS5 Pro, and it really makes the water come to life. And I also feel like the reflections in the water are also even more clear, even though it's still obviously kind of blurred or whatever you want to call it, rippled with the water. On the regular PS5, it just feels like it's really just a blur because there's not a whole lot of like movement and like motion from the water on the surface. It just seems like it's kind of blurred. So when you shoot the water on the PS5 Pro, especially in this first shot, you can see, I'll probably slow it down as well, there's a lot greater like detail of the water rippling and splashing in that kind of circle that happens when you shoot the water, and there's just a little bit more like very small splashes that happen around and outside of that circle. Here we have some more animations out in the sun, so you can just kind of see the difference and determine if, you see a difference or not. We're also going to go ahead and put down an ammo box and a toolbox here, but especially with the ammo box skin, I noticed that the special ammo like symbol on the left hand side just seems like it was a lot more like crisp and clear, and also the engravings just again feel like they pop out more because the actual engravings are a little bit of a deeper, darker like black, so they just pop out a little bit more and give it more depth. And also around the edges of the ammo boxes and toolboxes just seem like they're a lot more crisp, and it kind of almost does have a little bit of a blurriness to it when you look at it compared to the PS5 side by side. This dynamite bundle, the only thing I think might be a tad different is that the initial explosion and the smoke might be just a tad bigger, and I think the smoke lasts a little bit longer on the PS5 Pro. But the interesting thing is with the flare gun, with these flares, they do flicker still on the PS5, but it does flicker and flash a lot more dynamically, I would say, on the PS5 Pro. Like, there's a lot more variance in the brightness of the flashing. But if you look at the wall itself, there's a lot more detail on the brick wall on the PS5 Pro from the flare, really showing you, like I said, the depth of the bricks from the texture quality upgrade. But I also feel like the lighting from the flare on the PS5 Pro dissipates a lot better versus on the regular PS5. It's just kind of washing out that whole wall. Choke bombs, I feel like, do look a little bit different on the PS5 Pro as well. There's a little bit more distortion in the cloud on the PS5 Pro, where there is obviously still some distortion on the PS5, but I feel like it's just not as much. Back to some more fun in the water. When we were shooting the water earlier with the Crag, you can kind of notice it with the Chukanu as well with the arrows. There is a little bit more detail just in that initial circular splash that happens, and a little bit extra splashing around that kind of base circle as well on the PS5 Pro compared to the PS5. So with the red barrel here, I am a little bit closer on the PS5 Pro, but I do think the initial explosion and the clouds that come from explosions are a bit bigger on the PS5 Pro. Now I'm just going to throw a few more flares down on the inside of Fort here since it's a lot darker. You'll really be able to notice the lighting and the shadows and the texture qualities a lot more. And yeah, this is pretty much the last little bit of the video, so just kind of form your own opinion. Let me know what you think. Do you think these are all like pretty good, significant, graphic changes from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro? Do you think it's not enough of a difference to really, make it worth to upgrade? Now for me, I play a lot of games, but Hunt is my main game. So if I were to, give an opinion, if all you do is play Hunt, this probably isn't worth it. The PS5 and the PS5 Pro, it's very small differences, but if you're worried about just, the best quality of visual gameplay that you can have, then the PS5 Pro, even if it's, only hunt that you play, might be worth it. So leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate all the support, and hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe in the Bayou.